If you've ever walked through old Phase 1 in Gwagwalada, you've probably heard whispers about Baba Timo the barber. His shop wasn't much to look at, just a simple blue container with a faded Pepsi umbrella staked out front. But the word on the street was that once you sat in his chair, you'd never want another barber again. His fades were so sharp they could slice through ego, and his hairlines were so clean they seemed to reflect the sun. Men came from all over to let Baba Timo work his magic. Students from the nearby university, busy bike riders, even local politicians. Everyone wanted a seat in that chair. But after each haircut, people started noticing something odd. His customers always looked incredible, no doubt about that. But they also seemed quieter. A deep, lingering kind of quiet. You'd see them in beer parlors, but they wouldn't argue anymore. They'd stand in long queues without gossiping, and they'd watch football matches without shouting at the screen. It was as if Baba Timo's clippers were trimming away more than just hair. At first, it was a running joke. People would say, "Be careful, once Baba cuts your hair, humility will catch you." But as time went on, the joke started to feel a bit strange. Some men actually stopped visiting his shop, afraid they'd lose their ginger, their inner fire. Others, however, became more curious. They wanted to see if the rumors were true. One of those curious souls was a young man named Dello. Deal was a certified loudmouth, always talking, always cracking jokes, and always stirring up a little trouble with his words. One scorching Saturday, his friends threw down a challenge. "Go let Baba Timo barb you if you're not scared. Let's see if you'll still have anything to say afterward." Deal just laughed it off, swaggering towards the blue container shop. The moment he stepped inside, the smell of old aftershave and a thick, heavy silence hit him. Baba Timo was a tall man with remarkably calm eyes and a slow, easy smile that immediately put you at ease. "Low cut or skin?" he asked, his voice low and steady. Delay, still full of confidence, joked, "Low cut. But please don't remove my swagger." The barber simply nodded, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. His clippers buzzed to life with a soft, rhythmic hum. There was something incredibly soothing about the way he worked. Gentle, precise, almost careful, as if he were trimming away thoughts instead of hair. When it was all over, Della looked in the mirror and was stunned. The haircut was flawless. "Omo, Baba, you are too much!" he exclaimed, his usual booming laugh starting to erupt. But as the words left his mouth, he felt a strange sensation. His throat seemed to tighten, and his laughter just faded into the air. He could still speak, of course, but the constant urge to do so was gone. The usual noise and chatter in his head had gone completely quiet. He felt peaceful, almost too peaceful. When he got back to his friends, they immediately started teasing him, waiting for his signature witty comebacks. But Deli just smiled and nodded politely. They laughed even harder, trying to get a rise out of him, but he didn't reply. The boy who always had a joke, who always had something to say, was suddenly silent. Days turned into weeks. Deal didn't feel sick or unwell, he just felt calm. And strangely, people loved the new Dele. He got a promotion at work because his boss said he was more focused. His girlfriend mentioned how much she appreciated that he was a better listener. Everyone praised his newfound maturity. But deep down, Deal missed his old voice. The loud, carefree, boisterous one that made him feel truly alive. He couldn't shake the feeling that something had been taken from him. One evening, he decided he needed answers and went back to confront the barber. "Baba," he began, his voice barely above a whisper. "Ever since you cut my hair, I don't feel like myself. What did you do to me?" Baba Timo looked up from his work and gave him that same slow, knowing smile. "You asked me not to remove your swagger. I only took away your noise." Deal frowned, confused. "My noise?" The barber didn't say a word. He simply pointed to a small, ornate wooden box sitting on a shelf. Inside it were dozens of tiny, coiled strands of hair, each one carefully tied with a piece of bright red thread. They seemed to shimmer and glow under the dim light of the shop's single bulb. "Every head carries its own burden of words," Baba said softly, his voice like a gentle breeze. "Some people's tongues are heavier than their destinies. I just help to lighten the load." Dele took a shocked step back. "So you keep people's voices?" The barber's gaze was gentle, almost fatherly. "Only the ones that bring them trouble. You should be thanking me. Peace looks good on you, my boy." That night, Dele couldn't sleep a wink. He kept hearing faint, distant whispers in his dreams, a jumble of different voices, all murmuring at once, all sounding vaguely familiar. The next morning, when he walked past Baba Timo's shop, it was locked up tight. A handwritten note was taped to the door, closed till further notice. But even with the shop closed, people still came. They would sit on the old wooden bench outside, just soaking in the atmosphere, saying that the air there somehow made their minds quiet. A few weeks later, a new barber opened a shop nearby. He was young, chatty, and offered free haircuts for the first week to attract customers. But a strange rumor started to spread about him, too. Everyone who went for a cut said that his clippers made a bizarre sound, like faint whispers trying to speak through the buzzing blades. Deal never went back for another haircut. His hair grew out, wild and untamed, but the profound peace stayed with him. Yet sometimes, late at night, when he'd stand in front of a mirror, he swore he could hear a faint buzzing sound, followed by the ghost of his own forgotten voice, echoing the words, "Baba, you are too much." Thanks so much for watching and listening to this story. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't need to miss our next video. See you next time.